Hi, and welcome to my flight, from Copenhagen to Aarhus. We are flying with this Airbus 320. Let's get started. First, we need to click some buttons here at the top panel. We need to switch on some lights, and set the air condition to automatic. Why set the air conditioner? Because the cabin crew always complain if it's too hot or too cold. That's it for now. Let's switch on the nadirs to get position from GPS. And let's switch on the radios. Let me just run through it to see if I forgot something. Good. Now we need to program the aircraft, so it will know where we are going. First we are going to write from which departure airport to which arrival airport. We will write EKCH for Copenhagen, and EKAH for Aarhus. Then we need to click this align button. And now, let's give the aircraft a call sign. In this flight it will be SAS 5120. And a cost index at 22. At the next page, we are going to request some fuel. I have already calculated it to 4.5 ton. I think that we will do this last. At the performance page we just need to punch some buttons. The computer almost calculates it all by itself. The only thing I need to punch in is the flex temperature. Let's write F40. And now to the flight plan. I will not go into details here. The whole thing is about telling the computer how to get off the ground, and how to get down again. I am telling it what waypoints to use to get to the destination airport. When all of this is done correctly, we can test the flight plan on the display in front of the pilot. Let me try to show it on a map. The aircraft will take off from Copenhagen, follow the red line, and land in Aarhus Airport. The actual flight will take approximately 20 minutes. But with the aircraft configuration and taxi around the airports, this flight will take around 1 hour. Okay, there are still a few things to be configured in the flight plan. This part of getting the plane in the air is probably the most trivial. But it is important everything is done correctly. Otherwise, the aircraft will not find the right route. But I am almost finished. I just need to add a few more waypoints, and make sure that the route is connected all the way from Copenhagen to Aarhus. So just give me a few minutes. Meanwhile, we can hear a little music. I think I'm finished. Just need to be sure. Oh, I forgot to put on some lights. Just a moment. Now, let's test the route. As you see here, when I click ahead, we can see that we follow the green line. Completely as expected. It seems okay. Let's tell the computer how high we will fly. I think it should be 14,000 feet. So I will write flight level 140. And now, let's get some fuel. I calculated it earlier to 4.5 ton. It will be fueled by ground personnel. The computer is now programmed, and it has calculated all the route, speed, and flight level that is necessary to get to Aarhus. There is only a few things left to do before we can take off. The aircraft has to have the barometer set. This is given by the weather forecast. And let's set the cruise flight level for this flight. (14,000 feet). As you see here on the flight computer screen, it has calculated all the flight levels through the flight. It knows when it needs to be at cruise level, 14,000 feet. And it knows when it needs to begin to descend, to be at landing level in time. Okay, we are all set. Okay, I think we are ready to start. Jet aircrafts have an APU, auxiliary power unit, which is a small jet engine that produces power for the aircraft when it is on the ground, and the main engines are off. So let's turn it on now. It takes a little time to go online. It is actually a small jet engine, driving a generator, that is placed in the tail of the aircraft. You can't see it, but if you stood outside the aircraft, you would hear it. Okay, it's now online. And we can switch off the ground power. We are also able to switch on the air conditioning unit. Okay, we are now ready to start. So we switch on a few lights, and tell our passengers to fasten the seat belts. And start the fuel pumps for the main engines. And we also need to make a little fire test. I will just run through all the lights and switches, just to make sure that they are configured correctly. And now, let's run through the before start checklist.
Before start checklist. Cockpit preparation completed. Gear pins and covers removed. Signs on. Adheres. Nav load. Fuel quantity. Kilo 04497. Takeoff data set. Baro reference set. Windows, doors, closed. Beacon. It is not okay, sir. It is not on.
Oops.
Beacon on. Throttle levers idle. Parking brake on. Checklist completed.
Okay, we are now ready to be pushed back.
Park brake on.
Let's say goodbye to the pushback vehicle. Now we have been pushed back, it's time for starting the main engines.
Starting engine 2.
We can monitor the start on the center console. Good. Let's start the second engine.
Starting engine 1.
Okay, both engines are now running. And we will switch the weather radar and the transponder on. And we need to switch APU lead off, to make the main engines run the air conditioner. And now, the after start checklist.
After start checklist. Anti-ice, as required. ECAM status, check. Pitch trim, 0.5 up. Rudder trim, 0. APU, set on. Ground crew, clear. Anti-skid and nose wheel steering, on. Checklist completed.
And the control checklist.
Flight control check. Full up. Check. Full down. Check. Neutral. Check. Full left. Check. Full right. Check. Neutral. Check. Press pedals disconnect foot. Check. Pedal full left. check. Pedal full right, check. Neutral, check. Press pedals, disconnect push button, check. Checklist completed.
And now the final preparations for the takeoff
Spoiler on.
checklist.
Flaps 1, flaps 2, before takeoff checklist. Flight controls, check. Flight instruments, check. Briefing, confirm. Flap settings config. Flaps 2, V1, 1, 2, 8. V rotate, 1, 3, 3. V2, 1, 4, 7. Flex temperature, 4, 0. ATC, set. ECAM memo, no blue. Checklist down to the line completed. If you're ready to continue below the line, click it again.
Okay, let's taxi out to the runway, and line up to start.
Park brake off.
It will take a few minutes to get to the runway, so please sit back and relax. Okay, let's switch off the air conditioner and run the final checklist.
Cabin crew, advise. Engine mode selector. Set normal as wearer required. Packs, set off. Course of APU bleed. Checklist below the line completed.
Okay, let's go. Full throttle.
Power set.
We go.
Marine. Oh, up.
Standard baro crosscheck. Passing flight level 020. Standard baro crosscheck. Passing flight level 027.
Okay, now we are in the air. We will switch on the air conditioner and go through the after takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. Landing gear up. Flaps. Retracted. Pack. On. Checklist down to the line. Complete. If you're ready to continue below the line, click it again. Autopilot 1 cross-check. Baro reference. Standard baro set. Checklist below the line complete.
Now we have activated the autopilot, we can begin to sit back and enjoy the flight. The aircraft is flying all by itself. It will follow the route we added to the flight computer earlier. And there is little to do the next 10 minutes. So, just sit back and enjoy the flight. We have now reached the first turn on our flight plan to Aarhus. The aircraft will swing left and continue over the north of Zealand toward Aarhus. When we reach 10,000 feet, we need to switch off some external lights. And you will see that the aircraft is accelerating to about 320 knots. have reached cruising level at 14,000 feet, and the aircraft levels out and reduces power. I will just roll down the flight plan to see what is next on our trip. It is a beautiful sight out the window. It looks almost like in real life, doesn't it? Just look at the big puffy white clouds. It's a nice spring evening view. Just checking the flight plan, there is about 35 nautical miles until we will begin to descend. So let's prepare the descent by setting the flight level to 10,000 feet. What a beautiful view. We are flying into the sunset. We are now coming up to the final turn, before we are going to descend.
We are close to the top of the descent,
Okay, let's begin to descend. I do this by push this button. And you will see that the aircraft decreases the speed automatically. you peek through the clouds, you can see the city of Aarhus, just in front of us. When we get under 10,000 feet, we need to turn on some external lights. Okay, we now need to set our next flight level to 7,600 feet, and we will also switch to manual flight speed mode in a moment. We need to control the speed all the way down. We are now turning north, to get to the final approach toward Aarhus Airport. And we will set the next flight level to 3,300 feet. And we also need to decrease speed to 170 knots. We are now beginning to set the flaps down. There is 4 levels of flaps. We also need to decrease speed down to final approach speed at 128 knots.
Speed check, flaps 2.
And now down to flight level 3,300 feet. Aarhus Airport is out there somewhere, but we can't see it yet. Okay, I will now begin to prepare the aircraft for landing. We have to switch on the auto brakes. Okay, we are coming up to the final turn, onto the approach bearing.
Approach phase activated.
We will decrease flight speed to 140 knots. And now approach flight level at 2,000 feet.
Speed check. Flaps full. Approach checklist. Briefings. Confirm. ECAM status. Check. Seatbelts. On. Baro set. 2992. Decision height. 200. Engine mode selector. Set normal as where required. Auto brake. Set. Checklist completed. Radio altimeter alive.
And now we need to configure the autopilot for ILS approach. It will then begin to control the landing by receiving ILS signal from the airport, and the aircraft will follow that signal, all the way down and land. The gear is down, and we are almost ready to land.
Autopilot 2, cross-check.
And now I will set the final approach speed to 128 knots. The autopilot has now catched the ILS signal, and the aircraft will automatically descend and land.
Landing checklist. Cabin crew. Advise. Auto throttle mode. Speed. ECAM memo. No blue. Go around altitude. It is not okay, sir. It is not set. Go around altitude. Set. Checklist completed. Land green, check.
Retard.
Ground to the south. Reverse green.
And now, reverse engines to decelerate.
Must be disengaged, sir. Flaps 1, flaps 0.
And now the after-landing checklist.
After landing checklist. Flaps, retracted. Spoilers, disarm. APU, start. Radar, off. Strobe lights, off. Checklist completed.
Here we are, at Aarhus Airport. You can see one of my colleagues getting ready to fly. It could be the flight to Stockholm. Okay, we now have to park the aircraft. That means that we need to shut down the engines, and prepare to let off the passengers. And now to the parking checklist.
Parking checklist. APU bleed on. Engines off. Seatbelts off. External lights off. Fuel pumps. It is not okay, sir. It is not off. Fuel pumps off. Park brake and shock on. Checklist completed.
Okay, let's get some stairs, and open the doors. Okay, the last thing to do is to secure the aircraft. That means that we need to get all power off.
Securing the aircraft checklist. ADIRS off. Oxygen off. APU bleed off. Emergency exit light off. No smoking off. APU and batteries off. Checklist completed.
And now, welcome to Aarhus Airport. I hope that you have enjoyed the flight. And as of you have seen, it is not an easy job to fly an aircraft at this size. But remember that this was only a simulation, conducted in the flight simulator software X-Plane. But still, it's a little complicated and takes some learning to do. Goodbye for now, and see you at the next flight.